The Department of Labor released its weekly report on new jobless claims. They released that report this past Thursday morning. And the number of new unemployment claims, I would imagine, would surprise no one that it rose sharply, or over 853,000 last week. And that's an increase of over 137,000 claims from the week before. And it's just another sign of the toll the pandemic is taking on this country's labor market. Now, while these unemployment numbers are bad, and they're certainly bad for America's workers, they are even worse for this country's older workers. And I would go so far as to say, or maybe even just to sum it up by saying this: job hunting, it just got a lot harder for workers over 50. Welcome back to Over 50 TV. My name is Lou Reyes. Now, this is usually where I ask a viewer to subscribe to our channel and do some other things. But today, what I'd rather do, I'd rather really just get into this report, because I think it is just so important that we talk about it and that you understand exactly what this report is saying and how it can affect you if you're over 50 and you're looking to find a new job. As I mentioned in the opening, the Department of Labor released its weekly report on new jobless claims, and they released that report this past Thursday morning. And as I said, the numbers, they don't bode well for older job seekers. The number of new unemployment claims, that number has soared. It's risen sharply to over 853,000. That was as of last week, and that's an increase of 137,000 claims from the week before. An additional 427,600 claims were filed for pandemic unemployment assistance, and that's the program for gig and self-employed workers.
We've also got a jump in the number of people continuing to collect benefits here too. If I look at the states for the latest data that we have that are seeing the biggest rises, Illinois, Oregon, Colorado, Indiana, and they're talking about the hospitality sector being hit, the services sector being hit.
Now, the labor market, as you know, it's received no help from lawmakers. They've spent months in unsuccessful negotiations, basically wasting time because they haven't been able to come together to establish or come together and create another relief package. And what they've done is left the economy without the support that many economists have been saying for a long time, the support that's needed to cushion the pandemic's blow, and a blow that's been going on early since way back in March. Now, we're not going to beat up on the lawmakers, or maybe we'll call them legislators, because, and I don't even know if we should call them that, because they're not passing any legislation to help you, to help the economy, to help the job picture of the labor market. No, we'll wait for another time to do that when it's more appropriate. So yes, these numbers, they are bad for American workers, and they're bad for American workers overall. But what the Department of Labor numbers don't completely reflect is that a disproportionate amount of older workers, they're facing the HR chopping block at an increased rate. Over the past 6 months, workers 55 and older were 17% more likely to be laid off than employees between the ages of 35 and 54. And that's according to a recent study from the Retirement Equity Lab. According to that think tank, this is the first time since 1973 such an unemployment gap has persisted for 6 months or longer. You know, given these discouraging job numbers, I almost feel like I should be playing some sad music in the background of this video, but I won't give into that. But I will say this: with older workers being pushed out in favor of their mid-career counterparts, it's highly unlikely that they're going to be called back or hired back before a younger worker, especially with job growth stalling. Robert Frick, corporate economist for the Navy Federal Credit Union, he says this. He says, given COVID-19 cases and deaths that they're now regularly setting new highs, these reports, they put into question job growth in December, especially, he says, given the rapid slowdown in growth in November. The rough and, let's just say, difficult road that older workers have to travel to find a new job, and let's just say to find any job, it doesn't get any coverage in the media, and it certainly isn't getting any attention on Capitol Hill. But sometimes I tell myself, given what I would just say is the Mount Everest size health and economic problems that we've been trying to overcome since March, I try to give the benefit of the doubt and say, well, maybe those problems are the reason why there's not the coverage that you would expect. But the truth is, people over 50 and the problems that they face trying to find a new job, that hasn't received any coverage. It hasn't received any media attention, any help from Washington, not ever. So yes, the numbers, yes, they are bad. But the truth is they've been bad for people over 50 for a long time. You know, Daniel Zhao, he's a senior economist for the career site Glassdoor. He said this recently. He said it's very clear the third wave of the pandemic is causing businesses to have to lay off people, and consumers are having or being forced to cut back on spending. He says this. He says we're in for a rough economic winter. Well, unfortunately for many older workers, they've been going through a rough economic winter for a very, very long time. But I will say this, and I want to say one more thing, please. I want to say that yes, it will be more difficult, and it is more difficult for people over 50. And I get messages, probably dozens of messages every single day, people commenting on the videos that we upload to YouTube, people who are concerned about finding a job, or people who are saying, I can't find a job because of my age. At the end of the day, I always respond with this message. I say this. It is difficult. It is tough. It is going to be a long winter. But we can, and I will paraphrase a great man. He said this, we will overcome, and I guarantee you we can overcome if we have the right attitude. So that's all I got for you today, folks. Just wanted to put this out for you, this information. I believe it's important, and I know it can help you. If you have any questions, you can always message me, and I'll do my best to get back to you. As I mentioned, I get dozens of messages, and sometimes dozens, and it's very difficult, often very difficult to answer all of them. But I will do my best, and I will ask you, I said it in the beginning, and I'm going to ask you now if you would, please go ahead, subscribe to our channel. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you have a comment, do that too. There's also, before I forget, there's a little bell. If you hit that little bell, you'll get our latest updates. Every time I upload a video, you'll be notified. Well, as I always say, have a great day, everybody.